you so much for coming. If we can kind of just make our way in a little bit more so that everybody has an area where they can see up towards the corner here, that'd be really great. You might also take a moment to silence your phones, just because we have this really great opportunity to document Horatio's Artist Talk, and if phones aren't going off, that's really wonderful. Okay. So thank you so much for coming. My name's Kate Simmons. I'm the gallery director for the Alexander Gallery. It's really wonderful to see such a great crowd come out and support Horatio Law's work. We're very excited to get to share Every Treetop Deserves a Cloud, a solo exhibition of Law's work with our campus community. So thank you so much for joining us today. Many of you are probably familiar with his work, but I would like to share a little bit about his background. Yes, come on in. Thank you so much. Keep working your way around. Horatio was born in Hong Kong. He holds a Bachelor of Fine Arts from the School of Visual Arts in New York and a Master of Fine Arts from Washington University in Missouri. His work has been supported by the Oregon Arts Commission and Regional Arts and Culture Council and the Oregon Community Foundation. So please join me in welcoming Horatio Law. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I'm holding this up because this is the instrument that I use for all these pictures. Amazing what iPhone and cell phone can do these days. So I got to start out by just telling you what happened. Photography wasn't my main medium. I have used photograph for most of my artwork, a lot of my artwork, but it's never just photograph itself. It's always part of something that I use. So what got me started was I needed exercise. So I started walking, and that was just before COVID happened. And but I started walking, and I got bored really quickly. And then I started whip out my phone and started taking pictures as I walk. And just slowly it become, day by day, I just wanted to go out and instead of walking, I want to go out to take photograph instead of walking. So a sort of slow move over to letting the artistic part take over. And then when COVID happened, the shutdown happened, and there's suddenly a whole different world out there. And I started just, wandering around the city because, the shutdown is not much chances you see other people. And the city was empty and really gave me a different way of looking at the city. I grew up in city all my life, and I'm very comfortable in a dense city surrounding. And so Portland is probably the smallest city that I live in. I grew up in Hong Kong, I live in New York City, I live in St. Louis, and then when I came to Portland, everything was closed at 8 o'clock at night. So for me, it was an adjustment, but I wound up really love living here. So I've been here since 1994, and I met David in 98. So we've been together since then. Anyway, what else I want to say? This group of work, I didn't realize it until I started writing the artist statement for this show, that I realized how much connection I have with my own childhood growing up. I remember even before I have any inkling about being involved with the art or being an artist, I was maybe 11, 12, 13. I bought my own camera. It was a little Kodak camera, the one with the 126 cartridge. So you don't have to wind any film, so it's foolproof. And then with a square cube, then you can have flash. I bought it for myself with my own money. And I didn't realize the significance of that. But now that I started writing about, when I started writing about this show, realized how much of my childhood that influenced the way I look at things, the way I see things, the way I place myself in terms of, artists always, for me as an artist, I like to stay in the fringe. I like to observe. That's also the same approach I use for photography. But I didn't know where they came from in that sense. But when I started writing about this show, I started remembering the amount of time I spent by myself as a child. Going to school from home, I had to travel, walk to the ferry, take the ferry across the harbor, and take another bus to get to school. So there are multiple routes I can take to get from home to school every day. And I was really, as a young person, I was really excited to be on my own, and I wanted to see something different. And so I constantly taking different routes to school. But in hindsight, looking at that, why I want to be by myself in some way when I get from home to school, it's all solitary time. I'm by myself, and I enjoy those moments. I enjoy looking at store window, taking different routes, seeing different things. But now thinking back and writing about it, I realize how significant it was, because I knew I was gay when I was very young, really young, like before I even turned 10. And that sort of and instinctively, I also hid it from everybody else. I just knew I was different. Didn't have any negative connotation, but just know that I'm different. I didn't want to, well, maybe there's some connotation, negative connotation, because I was afraid if I expressed myself, I would be rejected. But this is all very, in the culture, we don't talk about that kind of thing openly at all. And even have the language to talk about it, but I just know I have to hide it. And this traveling around by myself really gave me the sense of agency, a sense of solitude, and a sense of independence that I crave for. And so it's really quite interesting that they came out from writing about this show. So the show, actually, when I try to put together this show, it's one of the hardest thing I've done. I have so many pictures from this 4 years of photographing Portland. Try to pull a group, select one group to be shown. It's really hard. And I have consulted different people, and ultimately I picked one picture that I sort of named it in a funny way. So it's somehow I call it, it's the one in front on that partition with the upside down trees. It's a reflection in the lake of these trees. And it just so happened that there are almost a little cloud on top of each tree. So I just call it every treetop deserves a cloud. And it's kind of a little, very childish thing to say, or a willful child. They want to see the world a certain way. And that's sort of embody how I want to see this show put together. So a lot of the work, there are several elements of this work that become apparent as I started taking pictures in the last 4 years. One group of work is about looking into store windows. This whole wall is about looking at store windows. There is a way of placing myself and seeing reflection that I call this the glass surface as a liminal plane, as a sort of like a how do I say? It's like in between place that can combine different layers of dimension. Like I can see reflection behind me. I can see through the glass to what's inside the window. I can see things on the surface of the glass. So all these space being compressed into one surface. And for me, it's kind of like a magical surface that I can transverse time and space. And if you imagine enough, like I can see back and forth in time, or I can jump from one space to another space. So it's kind of magical, and in a way, kind of childlike thinking in that, the wishful thinking that I can escape. I can, I write it in the artist statement as a way of escaping a chance to imagine how I can escape through these surface and portal. So none of these are manipulated by, people who look at them and think that I layer images together. But this is all what I see on the surface, on the glass, for every one of these pieces. So that's one group of work that I find myself gravitate to. Another group of work is this about living in inner city. It's a lot of greediness, a lot of the, homelessness. You can see that. I've seen it since I was a child in Hong Kong, and then in New York City, we live in a downtown area near Chinatown that is the Bowery. Is known for their drunks. And every morning we have to step over drunken bodies to get to school. So this kind of greediness, I'm used to. I'm not. For me, just growing up in the city, you just develop this sense around you. You kind of, your filler is kind of all around, that you don't stumble everywhere. You kind of know where you're coming and where you're going. And you're kind of very aware of your environment. That stays with me even now. But I also see the beauty of these inner city greediness. So these whole wall is what I try to talk about, finding beauty in this. In the ugliness of greediness of city life. Touch on a lot about homelessness, about disappearing, about making shift, about finding a home or finding a nest. These two are fun because I started reimagining as a child. I started looking at this like a driverless flying carpet that got abandoned, or this one is Cinderella's, sort of her other footwears that she just, instead of a glass slipper is something else she left behind. So it's kind of like a child's way to reason, seeing difficult things. And I guess I was a particularly funny child. I find things funny, or try to turn ugliness and difficult things and find some way to neutralize it, so that I can accept it. And I think, I can't speak for other children, but I think a lot of children are very resilient. Sorry. they can find a way to turn a difficult situation into something imaginative. So this whole wall over here is kind of talking about a bit about childhood, that imaginative way to see the world around us. Other than that one's still on the inner city part. That one is particularly gritty. But this whole wall is about very imaginative way to live a child's, the inner life of a child in a sense. So that piece with the, just a piece of cloth on the fence, it looks like a horse, and so I call it my imaginary friend. And also these trees that were like overladen by snow one winter, and they couldn't return back to the original shape. And I look at them like hands playing with the wire, the power line, like they're strumming a guitar or something. And then, of course, that tree that is really looked like a serpent to me. And I kind of imagine that this great serpent is trying to talk to this little fireplace. And so I find way to navigate childhood and finding imaginative way to deal with things. And then on that wall over there is all about the funny business with trees and shrubberies. And it's purely fun. I don't know. Trees are funny to me. And they have different languages, right? And so that's just that. I don't know. Okay. Well, thank you for coming.